How often do you think about death? How often does the concept enter your minds about how every life will end? Death is a part of the deal when it comes to living. In the series we're looking at today, bring an interesting but terrifying concept to death itself. Death Rescheduled is a brand new Webtoon original series by the same mind of Freaking Romance. Snail Lords, interesting name. Freaking Romance is now out on Daily Pass with one free episode per day and only 79 episodes, which is actually pretty short. So if you want to check out their other works, then feel free to read that series. However, if you haven't read Freaking Romance or aren't interested in romance in general, then don't worry about it, since this series follows a very interesting and different premise. The world of Death Rescheduled focuses on two major things that are very much linked. First, let's talk about the elephant in the room, that name. Death Rescheduled implies some pretty sinister things. And in fact, this video will be talking about death and topics relating to death a lot, just as a content warning for you viewers at home. So let's get into this. Death Rescheduled's major plot point so far is a yearly, which sounds more like a checkup at a hospital than anything else. But every person gets a yearly, which means once per year you're legally allowed to kill one person. No legal ramifications, nothing holding them back, just that rule, once per year. Other than that, it's practically limitless. We see this pretty early on, as this older gentleman chooses to spend his yearly on a child that's done absolutely nothing wrong. Just because this older man wants to, he can. Of course, there are people who don't want him to. For example, the child's sister. And they basically fight over a child living or dying. But other than that, we hear it pretty directly from this lady.
We absolutely respect your rights to slaughter. Our security will ensure that a third party does not disrupt your death scheduled until 24 hours is over. Or until one of you dies.
Pretty clear, if not pretty disturbing. There are two major reasons I cited that quote. First, it's just explaining the rules of this yearly thing. You get 24 hours to kill the person who you've death scheduled. And while the death schedule is in effect, legal services like police, medical, and personal assistance are disallowed. Understandable for this world. I wouldn't say understandable in general, but it makes sense. If you're allowing people to kill one person per year, people wouldn't want outside forces to interfere. And I get that. However, what's scarier in my opinion is this lady. This lady doesn't work for the governments. She isn't a major figure or anything. She literally just works at an aquarium, a place where children and families go to look at fish. Yet she not only explains the rules of a death scheduled pretty clearly, but also brings the people into a stadium where they fight people to the death at an aquarium. The scariest part about this is how normal it is to everyone. Not just socially acceptable, but actually exciting for these people. When these two are going to fight to the death, bystanders are just excited to see it happen, enthusiastically go to a stadium to watch them kill each other, even buy food at a snack bar in the stadium. The other major plot point in this series is magic. Kinda. There are two people in this world, vanillas and deviants. Vanillas are pretty self-explanatory. People that are normal, born without any unique or special abilities. Meanwhile, deviants are the opposite, people born with unique or special abilities. It appears that deviants have different abilities as well. Our older gentleman is a deviant, with the ability to seemingly freeze or slow people down. Meanwhile, our blue-haired main boy has a difficult ability to pin down. He seemingly teleports himself and other people around, but he also summons butterflies, so I'm not sure. Now, in a world where you're legally allowed to kill one person, some save it to protect themselves from being killed or protect others, like the older sister of this child. However, with people literally having magical powers, it might be a little weighted. That's why some vanillas opt for body modifications. Nothing special, just giant blades coming out of your forearms. And probably other types of modifications too, but we really only see those and hear that they're pretty expensive as well. This is all stuff that's explained in 3 episodes. The series is incredibly good at world building and dropping lore without feeling like a drag. I haven't even talked about the main character, like how he's going through a bucket list, or the fact that he's a deviant or has a high or low kill counts, we're not really sure yet. But what I wanted to take a look at today is the main concept of Death Rescheduled, the idea of legal killing. Now, this isn't the first series to have a concept like this, and it won't be the last. Spoiler warning for Blood Inc. But the idea of a once-a-year kill is a new thing that I haven't heard a lot about. But I think it only makes this concept more terrifying. I briefly mentioned Blood Inc., another Webtoon original series in which killing is legal, kind of. The series Blood Inc. is actually about contract killing, where you can go to an assassination firm and contract one of their workers to kill someone, which is the only legal way to kill someone, and is known as a Blood Inc., or BI. The idea was, since conflict and brutality are just part of our nature, if we can't eliminate it, then why not control it? And it weirdly kind of worked. We hear right at the start of the series, the introduction of the bill led to substantial improvement in our country's economy, and a drastic reduction to the unemployment rates. At the surface level, it likely improved a lot of aspects of society. It talks about the economy and unemployment, also likely provides jobs for past criminals. Not to mention, also probably lowers incarceration rates, mainly because they made something highly illegal, you know? And if you want to kill someone, why not do it the legal way, right? But all these aspects are pretty surface level. We actually follow someone who was a contract killer and how normal it is. I'm sure when this bill started, it was a bit weird. I'm sure there were a couple years of not a lot, but it just became part of normal society. You'd be a fool for not using a tool that everyone else was using, especially in the business world or the political world. The reason I say this is because Death Rescheduled will likely deal with a similar thing. Not the same, but similar. Now, we only have 3 episodes of Death Rescheduled out, and we really haven't seen anything outside of the aquarium, so we can't really make any safe bets. However, we've seen some things on Snail Lord's Instagram. Since it spoils some future episodes, I won't be showing it here, but we know that the world is quite broken. Unlike the world of Blood Inc., which is very much like our world but with legal contract killing sprinkled in, Death Rescheduled's world has so many differences in theirs compared to ours. However, I still think we'll see something similar. Blood Inc. is about change. How people don't like the new laws and bills that allow for killing. How they want to inspire change in their world, mainly because they've been on the other side of these contracts. And there's no way to get justice legally, so they have to get it in their own way. Now, I really don't think that this series will deal with characters seeking change like in Blood Inc. In Blood Inc., it doesn't feel like the world is defined by the assassination bill. Sure, many things do rely on it, but it doesn't feel like the world will fall apart if it stops. Meanwhile, Death Rescheduled's world is very much defined by it, by the yearly. They have technology that tracks killings, there are people with powers, people with body modifications, just straight up arenas where people duel to the death with snack bars included. I talked a bit about death at the start of this video. Death is a tragic part of life, but it comes with the package. Where there's a beginning, there needs to be an end. Everything needs to end. Everything has an expiration date. Death is really surreal to even think about. The end of a life, someone's existence. Someone who had dreams, hopes, a role to play in the world, in the universe, just gone and never coming back. It's incredibly bizarre to think about. And while we can't prevent death, we shouldn't fast track it either. There is so much that death brings. And it's probably just because society raised us to respect it or fear it, but a world where it's legal brings a whole can of worms. I think maybe people have thought about something along the lines of these concepts. A yearly or a blooding. How would society be if there was a legal way to bring death? A legal way that anyone can use, not just for special scenarios. But I think these series show us something interesting. Death waits for no one. The first episode of Death Rescheduled starts with, and spoilers, I die in the end. Maybe. If we can or can't control life, it still comes for everyone. So you should cherish your life. Enjoy it. Have fun. Both of these series show the dire consequences of having legal killings. How people abuse the system, how people are hurt by it, but most importantly, how precious life really is. But that's just what I think. What about you? Have you checked out these series yet? If so, leave it in the comments below. But, like always, thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you next week. Take care.